there, I'm Sandy Reese, Chief Encouragement Officer here at Get Fully Funded, where we help small nonprofits learn how to raise the money they need to fully fund their mission. I'm here to help you learn how to master the art and science of fundraising, and I've got a great tip for you in just a moment. But before we get to that, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that the next time we post a really great tip like this one, you're among the first to know. Okay, on to this week's tip.
If you have a new nonprofit, you'll have a lot of work ahead of you. You've got an office to set up, you've got a website to build, volunteers to recruit, programs to get up and running, and above all that, you have to raise money to fund everything, right? And there's endless paperwork and so many details to see about. But there's a couple of things that above all of that, if you can get really good at, it's going to make everything else easier. Look, I've started an organization. I know how hard this can be. I've walked clients through this, and I want to share with you 3 things that if you can get really good at these, everything else is going to get a little easier. Okay, you ready? Thing number 1, get really comfortable and really good at talking about your new nonprofit, its mission, and the change that you're about to make in the world. Even if it is your very first day, you need to do an elevator speech exercise and get really good at talking about what your organization is about. Because here's the thing, people are going to ask you about your new nonprofit. Your friends, your family, coworkers, neighbors, they're going to ask, and you need something that you can say that flows right off your tongue. If you stumble, they're going to wonder if you really know what you're doing, and they may not necessarily want to give you money because they're not really sure you know what you're doing. So you need to get really good at talking about it. You need to talk about it in terms of impact that your organization is going to make and the change that you want to make and the lives that you're going to save or change. Get really comfortable with that so that when somebody kind of even catches you off guard and says, "Oh, tell me about your nonprofit," you can go, "I would love to. Here's what we're all about." And boom, it just comes right off the top of your head and it sounds very articulate and people are impressed. The sooner you can get good at that, the faster you're going to start to attract people who, number 1, understand what you just said because it was clear, and number 2, think this is a great idea and they want to get involved. When you come across very clear and very confident, you will attract supporters. Confidence is magnetic. And that's one reason I want you to get really comfortable and really good at talking about what your organization does. Because think about it, if you're out at networking events or you just bump into somebody in the checkout line at the grocery store and you tell them what your organization is about and they want to get involved, they're either going to say, "Can I volunteer?" or "How can I give?" And you need that right now. So the better you get at this, the easier all of that's going to get. Okay, so that's the first thing I want you to get really good at is talking about your organization. The second thing is being incredibly organized. I know somebody just went, "Oh, don't tell me that." You have to be. You are a team of 1 right now until you get more people in, and you have got to be super de-duper organized to make sure that everything is happening in your organization the way you need it to, that details are being seen about, that nothing drops between the cracks. Because the worst thing that can happen is that you set up a coffee date with somebody who could potentially be your biggest donor ever, and then you forget to put it in your calendar and you miss it. That's an opportunity that is very difficult to get back, and you just made a really bad first impression, unless that's somebody you've known for years. You don't want to be dropping balls like that. So you've got to figure out your systems. You got to figure out how are you going to keep up with details. What calendar system are you going to use? How are you going to track money? Are you going to use QuickBooks or something else? And you got to get all this stuff in place from the get-go. Now, here's a ninja tip. If you are not an organized person, if this does not come naturally to you, that is the first volunteer you need to go recruit, is somebody who can help you get organized, help you put the systems in place, because that is going to make everything easier. Okay, that's the second thing I want you to get really good at. Now, the third thing, you have got to be incredibly protective of your time. Your time is the most valuable resource that you have while you're getting your new nonprofit ramped up. And it's going to be really easy to spend your time on things that are not a great use of your time. So you have to be very diligent about saying no. Because there's going to be people that are going to say, oh, let's meet for coffee and let me pick your brain. And you're going to have to say, I'm happy to have a phone conversation, but I can't get away from my office and drive to the place and meet you for coffee. Because let's be honest, coffee dates are time sucks. You will waste a couple hours out of your day when you could just have a phone conversation with that person for 15, 20, maybe even 30 minutes and get what you need, get them what they need, and move on. You don't need to do coffee dates. So you have to be really careful about that. Be careful about other people who ask you for favors, that they want you to serve on a committee. Anything outside of you focusing right now on your nonprofit is a no. You can say yes to those later, but right now you have got an organization to get up and running. So you need to get really good at saying no to things that are not the highest and best use of your time. You have to be really protective of your time. It's your most precious resource. And you're going to figure out really fast that it's easy to work 10 or 12 hours a day on your new organization. Ask me how I know. It's really easy to work a lot because you're excited and because there's so much that needs to be done. And so you've got to be very protective of your time. And sometimes that even means saying no to yourself, right? It means when you're like, it's 9 o'clock at night, I've got one more thing I need to get done. You may have to say to yourself, you know what? I need to just shut the laptop. I need to go rest. I need to do something more healthy for my eyes. I need to give my mind a rest. I need to give my body a break. I do this occasionally where part of me is like, push forward, get it done. And then that rational part of my head kicks in and goes, no, you need a break. It's time to be done with this. You have to do that. So there's your 3 things. Get really comfortable and really good at talking about your new nonprofit. Get really organized, put your systems in place so nothing falls through the cracks and everything runs smooth like a well-oiled machine, and then protect your time so that everything you're doing is the highest and best use of your time moving your organization forward. So there you go. There's 3 things that you need to get really good at. Now there's 100 other things you should be doing during your first year. And in just a second, I'm going to drop a link in here to an article on our blog that will give you more about what your first year of fundraising should look like.